Today I'm at the home of Albion legend Keith Gilroy, and as an unashamedly top Albion fan, and that's me, I'm with one of my heroes, Keith Gilroy, who was one of Burton's best wingers, in my opinion. He's finished as a footballer now, which is such a shame, but I want to talk to him about his Albion career, and we're going to talk to him obviously about what he's going to be doing for the future. So nice to be welcomed into your home, Keith.
Yeah, no problem.
And it's a bit sad that it's the end of the road, but you've got so many memories. So many memories. Firstly, tell me about your time at Burton, and the one thing that really sticks in your memory is the one.
Well, obviously I had 6 years there, and 6 brilliant years. You know, every year I had there, it was sort of progression, and I suppose the happiest memory was, as that progression was going on, was the time we won the league. Really, obviously we had the Man United FA Cup tie, which was great for the club and the town, and it sort of drove Burton on from that moment with money financially and stuff. But the pinnacle would have been winning the league, really, you know, for me personally, because obviously after we got into the league, that was when I was getting my problems injury wise. So that was probably my last memory of, you know, proper success with Burton, and winning the league was such an achievement because of, at the time there was so many. If you're talking about competing financially with other clubs in the league at the time, we were still part-time, and you know, other clubs, there was great clubs in there like Wrexham, Oxford, and you know, a lot of ex-league clubs, and even now they're still falling away and not getting back up. So at the time, to compete with all them and actually finish out on top, I know it was tight in the end, but over the season, you know, the league table didn't lie, so that was brilliant.
You always wanted to be a professional footballer, obviously from a boy from Ireland. You got an opportunity at Middlesbrough. That didn't quite work out. Then you went to Scarborough, and then to Burton. So the Burton opportunity was always the best opportunity, I suppose, in your eyes.
Well, it was, but what struck me most about Burton when I signed first, I had like a few opportunities to sign elsewhere with other conference clubs, and at the time they were ex-league clubs as well. But Burton was, as soon as I met Nigel Clough and Steve Bood, who was the one who really sort of brought me to Burton, you know, because he was the scout, and he was, as Burton were playing, he'd always be watching other games and other players, so he was always recommending players to the manager. But as soon as I met them first, it was so professional, and the new stadium was just about being built, and you know, that's why I spent 6 years there, because, you know, like a lot of other players during the 6 years, there was times you could have moved on and went to other clubs and whatnot, but you know, it was such happy times, and the people at the club were brilliant. And like I said, you weren't going to a club that were just existing. They were a club that were always aspiring to, you know, achieve things. And with Nigel Clough as a manager, and the way Ben Robinson ran the club, you could see the progression was, you know, they were just going to go on, and it was, I can't remember one bad time at the club. It was, you know, that was it. That was brilliant, and it was so professional was the key word I think I was looking for. And as a footballer, you like it to be professional, you know, and even though it was only on a part-time basis, it felt like a real professional setup, which it was. And yeah, that's why I stayed there. And you know, if I could and would still play now, I'd still be there now, you know. So yeah, it was a great club from the start, and it's still progressing now, and I'm sure it won't be long, whether it's in the next couple of years, that they'll even go up again, you know.
Let's turn the clock back. So the draw's been made, and it's Burton Albion or Burscough will play Manchester United in the next round. So you're going to play Burscough, and let's be fair, they were nothing special, and Burscough were thinking Burton Albion are nothing special. So what was going through your mind on that particular night?
It was brilliant, actually, because, well, just an example of how it's such a well-run club and they look after you. I was actually at Matt Brown, the physio's house, for Sunday lunch. He invited me over, so we watched, had some dinner and that, and we watched the draw after. I can't remember, was it a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I think we were one of the last names out of the hat, you know, and we were saying there's no way we're going to get it, and it was almost like we were celebrating scoring a goal, you know.
Goosebumps are there now.
Yeah, but it was almost like we were watching a game on TV and a goal has just gone in or something. the whole house went crazy in that. But all of a sudden, then I suppose it's been a bit pessimistic, but everybody was going, "Oh, we're going to play Man United," and straight
Right.
away I was thinking, we need to get over this game first, because Bersco, I think, had beaten Gillingham in the round before, and so all them games, as I know from playing non-league, the sort of lower you go, the harder the game. And Bersco on that night were a good team, and it was just that we sort of got a good start.
3 up in 32 minutes,
Yeah,
was it?
something. Yeah, but even after 3-0 up, it was a bit touch and go, and they got a goal back. They had a few chances, but yeah, the day we found out was brilliant. But you sort of had to wind back in and think, well, we've got a game now to sort of get through for us. I think even at the end of town, we're thinking, oh, we're going to be playing Man United, but there was a game to play first, really.
And on the day that you did actually play Manchester United, I mean, the build-up was brilliant, but didn't you sort of have to sort of pinch yourself? What about when you're in the tunnel? Just describe that moment when you look to the right-hand side and...
Is that what the Man United game you mean?
Yes,
Sorry,
on the actual day. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a glance and there's obviously one or two faces that you recognise there. And what happened in the tunnel?
Well, obviously, I always would come out sort of last in the tunnel. So, if I'm being honest, you glance, but you sort of, it's another game. So I remember.
It's a bit more than that, isn't it?
It is, but like you couldn't think of it as a, this is a great day out. It was a game to play and sort of thing. And I remember glancing at the tunnel and seeing the likes of, well, you look at the likes of Piqué now, who's at Barcelona, but at the time you're sort of not well known, but you had John O'Shea, Wes Brown, I think Tim Howard was in goal. You had good players. Louis Saha, who looked like about 7 foot tall when you looked over, but
It still is.
yeah. So you sort of personally you glance, but then you look away and you sort of focus, because you can get a bit caught up in it and sort of lose your focus a little bit. And I don't think anybody wanted to do that. We wanted to give a good account to ourselves, because you see so many times in the FA Cup that, well, even that day people were, oh, it's a great day out, but we're going to get beaten. But we, seeing the team sheet at that time, I remember thinking, well, you have to give it a go, and if you sort of sit back and respect them, you'll get absolutely trounced, which we didn't.
So you got the ball for the first time, and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to give this a real go.
Yeah, I think so. I think it went back. I remember you sort of go in with different attitudes to every game, but you go in, especially with that game, in the attitude that you're not overawed, so you try to think of things to help you. And I just remember that when I was younger, I was at Middlesbrough, obviously, so I was training with good players every day, and Premier League players and players that were on the peripheral of their first team and that. And if you know what I mean, Man United was sort of like that. So you had Phil Barsley right back, who I would have been playing against players like that at Middlesbrough type of thing, that were sort of just breaking through, and I never felt out of place. So I was sort of going in with that attitude that on your day you can do things. So I was sort of trying to be in a confident mode about it, because like I said, if you sort of shrinking your shell a bit, you won't perform to how you can. So that was the way I went into the game personally. I remember thinking, well, he's not even made a first team appearance yet, and a lot of them were sort of on the fringes, and they were sort of coming probably with the attitude it was going to be easy. So it was all little things to sort of give you a little mental edge, if you know what I mean, and for me that's what I was doing. So, but yeah, like on the ball for the first time, you are a bit nervous, obviously. You keep it simple and don't give it away, basically. So it just went on from there, really.
10 minutes to go. What's going through your mind?
Hanging on, even though it was to be expected, because I remember after about 65 minutes they brought on Rooney and Ronaldo, and I remember looking to...
I've heard of those, actually.
Yeah, I remember looking to Andy Ducrot at the time and just thinking, they're on a bit early, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, because it wasn't even in the last 10
They were
10
worried,
minutes.
weren't they?
Well, I think at that time they were, and sort of then I remember they come on at a corner, and the first corner came in when Rooney did like a bicycle from the 18-yard box, and you thought, here we go.
He
Know
missed.
what I mean? He missed, but the fact that he got up to do it, that he probably didn't need to go to taking it down, but he thought, these two players are going to be a bit special now, so we need to just sort of hang on. But we had chances from then, but we sort of, legs were getting tired and that, and it was sort of just... at that stage, I think the anxiety was setting in with the crowd, and that it was sort of, you know, still 0-0 and there's 10 minutes to go, you know, like could have got a chance of a replay here. So
And we must thank referee Howard Webb for not giving the blatant handball that Gerard Piqué
yeah,
gave.
that was ridiculous.
That was the best, worst refereeing decision that I've ever seen.
Well, it's funny. I know we.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, we had chances, didn't we? And they had chances, obviously. And if you even it out in the game, they probably maybe had the better of it in the end. But as a non-league team playing a Premier League team, you know, you get a goal or a penalty, which we probably should have. And I think a lot of people, no one really highlighted that after the game, which is a bit disappointing.
Because we didn't want to go to Wolves having beaten the great Manchester United.
But that was it. Nobody even made it.
It was, we were better off to go to Old Trafford for a good day out.
It was, but I mean, nobody highlighted it as in. I remember the TV punditry and that, and if that was a Premier League game now, it would have been, how was that not a penalty and whatnot? But it's such a shame because you never know. We could have scored and they could have scored too. You don't know how the game would have planned out because it was a different pattern of play. But you know, it would sort of, if that happened and you hung on and you won 1-0, although it was probably better for the club to get a replay. There's a lot of clubs that hold big teams to go to a replay, but to actually beat a big team or a Premier League team or the league champions at the time, I think they were, I can't remember, that would embed it in history. Do you know what I mean? And that probably would have been the most pleasing thing about it. But
would have been the greatest result.
But at the end of the day, if you're looking at it just at a game perspective, you get decisions, you don't get decisions. You know, we've had plenty for us and against us in the league over 6 years, or you know, before we got promotions. So it was only because it was such a big game that was highlighted. And even now, if I'm, you know, I'd be watching a game with Stridey and Howard Webb would be with ref, and he'd have a few choice words about that decision even now.
Sure.
So it's still yeah, so it's still embedded in people's memories and that. But
Yeah.
I think, you know, it just adds to the memory really.
Whose shirt did you get?
I got, funny enough, when the whistle blew, Ronaldo was on my wing because I was on the left, he was on the right, I think. As soon as it went, like, I wasn't even on about celebrating. I was trying to get his shirt and he just shrugged me off and said no. So I was a little bit annoyed at that stage. And then obviously everybody was celebrating and there was cameras around, so I asked for John O'Shea's and he was like, yeah, but then he couldn't give it to me because of all the hype. And he said, oh, I'll give it to you, you know, in the tunnel or afterwards. But obviously, if you remember, we stayed out on the pitch for probably about 10 minutes after celebrating, so I didn't expect him to be, he might forget or after we had showers or that. But as I walked into the tunnel, fair play to him, he was waiting there in the tunnel and gave me a shirt, you know, which couldn't have been easy for him because they just drew with Burton and
Correct.
maybe got a bit of a telling off, I don't know. But you know, a good 10 minutes later he was still waiting there to give me a shirt, which was good. And being a fellow Irishman, I was quite happy to have his shirt, you know.
But all in all, a fantastic memory.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think at the time you don't really think of it as it's not really a memory, it's just another game. But it's probably times like this you're looking back and you go, you know, it's great. Like, and I think, you know, you'd walk in the street and every now and again people would mention it, and I think it's sort of just that game sort of put Burton a little bit more on the map maybe, in non-league, and obviously the country's seen it, which was great. And then we just went on from there. I think we progressed, you know. We ended up, at the time we played Man United, we had turned our season round because we had a poor start in the league, and then I think we finished 9th or somewhere like that. And then the next year we just finished outside the playoffs, and then the next year we progressed again. So it was it almost kick-started everything, you know. Financially the ground was paid off, I think, and stuff, and you know, the club had a real firm base, and you can see the rewards for that today, you know.